us. Thank you. This is, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick Wies in Montana. A lot of my questions have already been asked. I've had really a big list in front of me here. I'm going to start out, if I could, with one question. Animal wellness is telling us that the PAST Act has no way of ever passing. Tennessee and the industry leaders are telling the big league folks that the PAST Act will pass, and if they don't accept this compromise, they will lose everything. Well, it can't be both ways. Somebody's right and somebody's wrong.
Rick, ask your question. What's your question, Rick?
Well, my question is, somebody's right and somebody's wrong. I understand both sides of this coin. I understand where you're coming from. I understand there's also other ways to win this battle.
What is your question, please?
You have done it by putting them out of business.
Well, they're on the ropes, but they're not out of business. But
one thing that I haven't heard from Tennessee and the big league industry is that this will help protect the horse. Not a single person has said this will protect the horse. Only that they're going to lose everything if they do not accept the compromise. For me, that speaks volumes as to why this should even be considered.
Rick, I love you, but I hadn't heard you ask a question. But I want to jump in on this compromise language a minute. We're talking about the United States Congress. Every law that ever passes is compromise, okay? There's never, it's my way or the highway. That's not how Congress works. Now, as Joe Tydings told me personally, the only reason there was ever a Horse Protection Act in the first place was a compromise with Howard Baker from the state of Tennessee. This is an opportunity to have a law, Rick, a law, not a bill, a law. I mean, not a rule, but a law. And yes, of course it'll protect the horse not having action devices, to have a package that's 1/2 the size, about like an American saddlebred, to have penalties like Mr. Pacelle has told you. And I'm not from Yale, I'm from Mississippi. I'm gonna talk just straight across the board. I can't talk that high talk, but I can tell you this, a compromise bill that does the right thing is a good bill. It's not gonna be perfect, but here's another thing, you have rulemaking with laws. And it's a lot different than this rule the USDA comes up with and they have all those listening sessions. No, sir. This is a law. They interpret that law and they perfect it. So I'm just weighing in here a little late, but I like Rick Wies. I think a lot of Rick Wies. And that's where I see this going, Rick. And you know, I've been in it since we polled the breeders back in 2013. And you know what the breeders did? 63% said get rid of these pads and chains. And I have an idea you were in that 63%. Am I wrong?
I think you're right. Well,
Yeah, Rick.
I'd like to address one other question, or make one other comment. You say you've worked with industry leaders. Well, who are those industry leaders? And what makes them industry leaders? The names that I've heard throw out there aren't really industry stakeholder leaders. They're leaders within the industry who have some money and think they're leading this cause.
Rick. Jeffrey Howard is chairman of the Tennessee Walking Horse National Celebration. Thanks to CCABLAC and all the support we've had, we've got them hemmed up on their private property in Shelbyville. Jeffrey wants a deal because it's in his interest to want a deal. Now,
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
His personal interest.
I beg your pardon?
It's in his personal
Well,
interest.
it's in our interest too to have all the advantages that the bill will provide. One more time, the law. I'm gonna start calling it the law. It's not perfect, but it's a great improvement, and that's what Joe Tydings brought to the table. And he always said he wanted to get it perfected. Well, let's go ahead and get it perfected to the extent that we can, and then let's work on it. Rick, let me mention one other thing. As long as there's a big lick Tennessee walking horse showing, CCABLAC is going to be there protesting. We'll protest all next year. Every horse show that they have, we're not letting up on them 1 second until it's the way it's supposed to be. Now, gentlemen, I'm sorry I'm rolling in here tonight with a roll of steam.
No, but Rick, it's Wayne. Let me just say
say that in any deal like this, there's going to be skepticism. If you're aligned with the animal welfare groups on this, you're going to be skeptical of the other side. I mean, we've been skeptical, and they have their own motivations that may be different than ours. Ours are about the horse and about protecting the horse. I think what the industry has come to acknowledge with the pressure that so many animal welfare advocates led by Clant, Marty, you, and others have done is that they recognize that there are threats to the industry, whether the threat is declining attendance, fewer horses being registered with the breed, whether it is the prospect of a rulemaking, whether it's the prospect of new legislation. Yeah, I don't believe that can be enacted. Mitch McConnell was just elected to another term. It's a 6-year term. He's probably going to be the majority leader. At first, he's going to be part of the 50-member caucus, and the filibuster is going to be retained. The only way to get a majority vote on this issue is by eliminating the filibuster. That's not going to happen. All we need is 41 senators on that. So, someone might say, well, from the industry, if they're listening, say, well, what the hell do we need to compromise with these people? We've got it blocked in the Senate. Well, maybe there's going to be a farm bill that comes up, 3 years from now, and maybe we can do an amendment on that. I'm not saying we're quitting in trying to get the PAST Act done. I'm saying that the probability of action in the Congress is very, very remote. The ability of Senator McConnell and the presence of 3 other senators from Kentucky and Tennessee, there is the prospect with President-elect Biden of the rulemaking, but I think that there are roadblocks there. There's a timing issue. There's also a legal challenge issue. Here we can right on deck. We can get this enacted within 3 to 4 weeks. You've already banked the House vote on the PAST Act. At the end of this year is reset. New members who are going to come in with the ones who are reelected. You've got to start the process in the House again. The only way that we got the House vote is we hit 290 co-sponsors, which we worked for months. Marty and I and others worked to get those co-sponsors. Clant did. Clant talked to the speaker and the majority leader. Pacelle came in and others came in. We're going to replicate that, and then we're going to face the prospect of Mitch McConnell saying no. So, again, I'm not sure what the industry's saying, but I think it's in the industry's interest to get this done if they want to preserve their show world and have cruelty-free showing circumstance.
Rick,
we want to stop the horses from being
I'm gonna lay it down the way it is. You've got a Chinaman's, nothing wrong with Chinaman, but you got a Chinaman's chance of getting the PAST Act passed, okay, ever. There's only been one vote in the whole history, and it was in 2019 when we got a hold and we got after it, and we had a lot of help, and we had the good Lord with us, okay? We got that vote, and now you've got an opportunity to get a law before the end of the year, but it's got to move on down the line, and it would be in the best interest of the Tennessee walking horse. I know I'm close to one in particular who is a victim of the animal cruelty, Jen's Ice Glimmer, and I'm here to tell you it ain't perfect, but it's a whole lot better than waiting 6 years, 10 years, 12 years to try to get the PAST Act passed the way it's written. That's it. You may not like what I'm telling you, but it's it.
I want to tackle just to Clant what Clant said and what Wayne said is I'm on Capitol Hill every day. I live 3 blocks from the Capitol. I've been up and down the halls of Congress, talked to every legislator on every side of the aisle except for Steve King. That's the only one of the entire 535 members of Congress's office that I have not talked to. And there was no point talking to him in the first place. But politically, legally, regulation, legislation, the law, you have 2 lawyers on here, Scott and Plant, and you have 2 lobbyists on here, Marty and Wayne. And we are telling you the politics, we're explaining the lay of the land, we're telling you what can and can't happen. Now, you can go lay on an island in Hawaii and believe a pipe dream if you want to, but that's not what's going to happen. This is the only way that we're going to get this done and help the horses.
Where'd you go, Rick? I like Rick. Rick's my buddy.
I'm just taking it all in.
Well, listen, you deserve the answers, and so does everybody else. And Mr. Pacelle, he takes too darn much heat. Give me the heat. I'll take the heat. But one more time, and it's not about Clancy. It's about the ladies, as Priscilla Presley said. They are her heroes that come out there time after time after time to stand the ground and use their First Amendment rights to protest this animal cruelty. Have an opportunity. That's all I can tell you. Have an opportunity.
So, Susie asked a question.